What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome back to MKO Boxing, aka MKO Pugilism, where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube, follow on TikTok, all that good stuff. So, yeah, right about now, let's get into it. We're just going to talk a bit about the press conference, kickoff press conference for what they're calling unfinished business, which is Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, the second fight. Yeah, the first fight was very dramatic and yeah, sold a lot of tickets, sold out Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'm sure it would have been around 65,000 plus, all crammed in there. Was a good fight, great spectacle. Great to see Chris Eubank Sr. emerge from the car, as a surprise. It was like kind of WWE style. And yeah, so this one is the rematch of this fight, and it's kind of split opinion because a lot of people like myself feel we don't really need to see this fight again, but because the first one was a good fight and it was dramatic and everything, there and it made a load of money. So I think that's why we're here. So first of all, about this press conference, I can say this: it was dominated pretty much 100% of the time. We heard the voice of Chris Eubank Jr. He just completely dominated it. I mean, he pretty much cut in to the press conference immediately within the first probably minute. He was already cutting in, already changing things. I think the host said, "Oh, Chris, well, let's hear from you first," and blah blah blah. Chris Eubank Jr. immediately said, "Nope, you're not hearing from me. What you want to do is you go and talk to Conor Benn first. Let Conor Benn. I want to hear what Conor's got to say." And then it went to Conor Benn, and Conor Benn was just cool, just doing his thing, and sort of he made mistakes, and he's gonna come back better. And yeah, throughout this press conference, there's so much that stood out. Eubank Jr. literally just did what he wanted. He made several accusations. He just cut. It was his voice pretty much 90% of the time. He made a number of big claims about important people. I mean, he claimed Robert Smith of the British Boxing Board of Control. He said that guy's a scumbag. He said Robert Smith and the board apparently, they sent too many cameras into his dressing room. They tried to sabotage him. They allowed Conor Benn to wear horsehair gloves and stuff of that nature. So he's making big accusations about the British Board of Control, and he also went on to call Eddie Hearn a scumbag and say, "Yeah, I'm exposing you tonight." And he claims that Eddie Hearn allegedly tried to sabotage him. He claims that one of his big toenail fell off, is what he was claiming, and Eddie Hearn was giving it back to him, sort of taking the mick out of that. And he claims that somehow Eddie Hearn, sorry, in Matchroom prevented his ambulance from leaving the stadium for about 20 minutes. So according to Eubank Jr., he claims that somehow Eddie Hearn or Matchroom was preventing his ambulance from leaving. Um, for his part, Conor Benn spoke very little. So did his dad. He just, as I said before, Conor Benn showed a lot of maturity in there, as did his dad Nigel. They just claimed that Conor Benn was swinging wildly, was what Nigel was saying, and yeah, my son fought on the mouth, and he was swinging them punches, and he hurt Chris many times, and he couldn't finish him, and so it was kind of, they were going on about mistakes that Conor made, and just basically claiming that Conor will be better next time when they fight in November. But they were quite mature, and yeah, Eubank was just constant with it. I mean, even when Eddie Hearn said, "I want to say something about Ricky Hatton," because obviously, R.I.P. Ricky Hatton. He recently died just a few days ago now, and Eddie Hearn. There was tribute. To be fair, there was a tribute to Ricky Hatton by the host of the press conference. Before anything started, there was a tribute and there was some moments of silence for Hatton. But Eddie Hearn wanted to say something further. Chris Eubank was just like, Eddie, I don't want to hear you speak, blah, blah, blah. So he just kind of shut that down and shut Eddie Hearn down for the most part. And, you know, this was a press conference where, in some ways, it was kind of unique because it was pretty much, the whole thing was pretty much dominated by Chris Eubank Jr. And, you know, the person he was arguing with for all of it pretty much was Eddie Hearn. The main thing in this press conference was Chris Eubank Jr. making the accusations. And, you know, one good question Chris Eubank Jr. asked in this was, okay, they fined me £500,000, you know, they fined me £500,000 for this rehydration clause, and they fine for this and fine for that. But where's the money going? Like, where is it going? Is it going to help the community? Like, what exactly is this money doing? Which is a good question, because that's one of the things that it would be good for the public to know. I mean, I don't know where the money goes, but Eubank was basically claiming that they're just using it to line their pockets, which, you know, I doubt. I think they have their struggles in the board, but it was a good point that, yeah, really the public, all they know is, yeah, this man's been fined, that man's been fined, but where does the money go? Does it help the community? You know, what does it exactly do? And that was a fair point by Eubank Jr. And another thing about this press conference was that Eddie Hearn, I would say, kind of got a bit out of character in this press conference, because Eddie Hearn was visibly irritated by what Chris Eubank Jr. was saying. And I want to say he was angered by Chris Eubank Jr.'s claim. And, you know, throughout the press conference, he was saying, yeah, say it, say it, say it. And it was kind of warning Chris Eubank that, yeah, you make these big claims, you're going to be in trouble. You know, basically implying that Eubank Jr. could be sued. So, yeah, Eddie Hearn was, whereas he's normally, you know, calm and he doesn't really let things bother him. Some of these things Chris Eubank Jr. was saying, because they are big claims and, you know, they're major accusations against him and his company, Eddie Hearn was angry. You could tell that he was angry. He was vexed. He was swearing and all this stuff. And, you know, he was still kind of himself, but you could tell that Eubank Jr. Wound him up and got under his skin. He made him vex. Ben Shalom also, he kind of tried to pipe up and get involved, but ultimately he was just shut down by Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn just sort of said, Ben, not today. Ben, it's not your time to talk. Ben, nah, it's not. So Eddie Hearn kind of little boyed Ben Shalom, but then Chris Eubank Jr. kind of buoyed him off to Bomac spoke a little bit, you know, Tony Sims did too. Bomac was just vocal, just said, yeah, Chris already kicked your ass, so, you know, we don't really, you know, we ain't worried about you again, because Chris already got the blueprint, he already kicked, you know, already dealt with you one time, so. And it's good to see Bomac in Eubank Jr.'s team as well, because he done a great job with the Liam Smith rematch where Chris Eubank Jr. got knocked out. And, you know, excuse me, he came back with Bomac in his corner, and it was brilliant. He fought a very good, disciplined, you know, exceptional fight when he rematched Smith, you know, and I think, according to what Ben Shalom said, they're not going to worry too tough about the rehydration clause, which I agree with, because at the end of the day, there's no title on the line. There's nothing on the line. It's just a fight. So I don't think I think they're just gonna, Eubank and them just pretty much gonna ignore it. And yeah, just in conclusion, this is a fight where, as I said in the beginning, I don't really think we needed this fight again. But I think the presser, the way Chris Eubank Jr. went scorched earth in this presser, I think you know, the wildness of this pressure will generate interest, will generate views. People will want to see what Chris Eubank Jr. said, because he just took the whole thing over. It was dramatic. It was funny. It was weird, it was crazy, it was all sorts of things. And I think because of that interest it generates, and because the first fight was a very good fight, you know, sold a lot. I think this fight is also probably going to be a good fight, and it will generate a fortune. It will generate a lot of money. So, yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. Scorched Earth, crazy press conference by Chris Eubank Jr. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and until next time, it's MKO Boxing, over and out.